You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending the Mayor and Board of Trustees meeting from March 9th, 2022. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will ask you to stay standing for a moment of silence for Mr. Anthony Campielli, a lifelong resident of the village, who passed away last month. Tony devoted himself to the village by serving as village treasurer for many years, among other village offices and events. I'd also like you to stand for and remember the people in Ukraine who are coming under heavy bombardment, and it's a humanitarian mess. And for an individual who got hit by a car walking to work Tuesday. Mr. Greg Tanguay was involved in a car accident while walking to work. He is in critical but stable condition in Westchester Hospital. He is expected to have a full recovery. Special thanks to W.T. Garner Engine Company and the Village of Wappinger Falls Police Department as first responders. He lives on South Avenue, this gentleman in the 3rd Ward.
Okay.
So with that said, we can now sit. I would also like to thank the St. Patrick's Day Committee for having put on the parade. By all counts, it was a rousing success. Good turnout, very good turnout. Of course, in any event like this, there's always a few glitches, and you can always do a little better. But with that said, it was a wonderful day and quite a long parade, and the clerk even marched again this year. So,
Can I say one thing? Also, the highway guys did a great job in preparation
and after.
and after.
Yes.
But before, there was all that snow and ice, so I appreciated that.
And so, with that said, I will introduce to the board our new treasurer, Andrew Foreman, who has started his duties full-time, and I wish him well, and I think it could be a very good fit for both him and us.
No, welcome on board. We're glad to have you.
Okay, that takes care of that.
I am in receipt of a letter of resignation from Trustee Ponte effective April 1st, next month,
No, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, I guess, yeah.
April 1st, yeah. Thank you for your contribution. It's only been a year, but that's fine. Hate to see you go. Trustee Ponte has been very involved in the village. Whenever there was something catastrophic happened, she was the first one there, and she helped people, countless amounts of people over the years, and will be relocating upstate New York. So thank you for all you've done. We'll need a board approval to accept the resolution, of the resignation.
Yeah, well, that resolution, I guess, can be done for the next meeting.
Well, she,
Yeah.
if you want to do a resolution, you can accept the resignation right now.
I'll make the motion.
But that'll make it not until the effective date, correct?
Well, 4-1.
4-1.
I have a motion, Trustee Huber.
All right, I'll second the motion. John, thank you.
That's
Mike?
Mike Ruffin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, mayor votes aye.
Carried. The next item, the board has in the past,
Want to do
not yet, I was still on recognition and announcements. We've done this in the past for mental illness. They've asked that you would recognize the month of May for that. And rather than read that whole thing, I have a summary of it that we've used in the past. Mental health is essential to the well-being and the vitality of our families, businesses, and communities. And mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation, with 1 out of 4 Americans and 1 out of 5 children affected by mental illness. More people die from suicide in the United States than from traffic accidents, and an estimated 22 veterans die from suicide each day. That number, I think, is higher. Stigma and fear of discrimination may keep who would benefit from mental health services from seeking help. And with effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can recover and lead full, productive lives. Education, compassion, and awareness about mental illness can change negative attitudes and behaviors toward people with mental illness. Each business, school, government agency, law enforcement agencies, healthcare providers, organizations, and citizens share the responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. Coming up, we'll ask for a vote to accept May as being the month for awareness for mental health. That'll be up shortly. Okay. I think that's it, Mayor, for recognition, announcements, and special events.
Okay.
Roll call. Mayor Sereno.
Present.
Trustee Sidoti.
Here.
Trustee Ponte.
Here.
Trustee Nesnick.
Here.
Trustee Huber.
Present.
Trustee Ruffin.
Present.
Trustee Larissella.
Here.
Village Attorney Wallace.
Here.
Action on minutes, February 9th, February 18th, February 23rd.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I believe that was trustee Ponte.
Correct. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Authorization to pay bills as per approved warrants.
I'll also make the motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval, NAMI, that's mental health, respectfully ask the Village of Wappingers Falls to join them this year in our public awareness campaign for May 2022. Do we have your support? Need a motion.
I'll make it.
Trustee Ponte, second. All in favor?
Aye. Gary?
Carried. We tabled the Larry Sprague business last meeting because it was, it had to be changed, and of this date, it still isn't changed, so we'll table it again. Attorney Wallace, should we table that to the next meeting?
Yes, I had a conversation with Lord Java and the Passero engineers, and they recommended that we actually keep it kind of like a close leash on it, because we are, he is going to be adding some specifications that are necessary for the contract. He's gonna have to review that. We have a meeting tomorrow here in Village Hall, the 3 or 4 of us, to go over that as well, so we're gonna keep that moving.
What time's that meeting, Craig?
12:30, I believe.
12:30?
I have a motion to table that to March 30th.
I'll make it. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. If you look in your handout, you'll see the third page there is recreation portion of the agenda that Trustee Huber is going to go over.
Yes. So this year, we're going to have an Easter egg hunt in the village. First of all, let me start by saying the Recreation Committee wanted me to bring this up to the board. So it's going to be on Sunday, April 10th at Mizzier Park. And the Recreation Committee is partnered with the PBA. So it's going to be a joint Easter egg hunt. Or April 9th, I'm sorry. Rain date is on the 10th. so it's a Saturday. Then, they're looking to have 5 concerts this year. And we want to budget for like $2,500 on this. And they want to bring back the village-wide yard sale, like they've done in the past. It's usually in conjunction with the art festival. And hang on a second, find some more interesting ones here. They wanted to do movies, so we're unsure of the price of those yet because we have to buy the rights of the movie. They want to do like 2 of them, 2 or 3. So it depends on the movie. That's going to depend on the price. They can be anywhere between $200 to $600. And they're looking to clean up the clubhouse. They want to get rid of some old stuff. There's some old. They used to do floats back in the day. There's a lot of wooden material down there they're looking to get rid of. So we need to get a dumpster, and we're looking to purchase a tent because the tent that we have has holes in it, it's missing parts. It's just been loaned out through the years, so it really never comes back with everything. So there'll be rules for that tent, only to stay in the village, at the camp, or any recreation function. And that's it.
You forgot the car show.
Oh, the car show? Well, we're looking into that. We're not short of a date yet, but we're looking into that and where we're gonna do it.
Being somebody who's taken to a lot of car shows, I should say, they're get pretty big crowds.
Yeah.
Get the advertisement in the right spot.
Remember we had one a few years back, a car show in the village.
It's a good time. It's good people, and definitely they're always hungry, looking for food. And
The one in Fishkill, they used to always have a really excellent one in Fishkill. Fishkill's decided not to do it.
Uh-huh.
But if you could maybe find out who was affiliated with that one, they may be looking for a home in that one. I don't know if you ever went to that one, it's pretty out of sight.
Somebody got a hold of John Tillicek. That's why it was brought up. And
Great.
we wanted to invite the gentleman to the meeting, get his input and whereabouts he would like to do it in the village. I mean, because we do have a couple good spots. I mean, Mill Street, Market Street, you can conjunction both of them
Yeah,
together.
that'd be great.
Mizzier Park's nice, but you can only do it along the driveway on the up. They were thinking about doing it along the path. I said, that's not a great idea. Do parking on the grass.
Right.
And maybe down at Vets, you have a concession stand down there, so you can maybe the village can make something out of it. So there was a few good ideas, but we're waiting for them to come back
Well, that's
and
great.
see what they would like to do.
I would just say that relative to the clubhouse with the work and cleaning and the tent, I would suggest that we try to get some estimates for cost
Of a tent?
for the tent and for
Well,
what needs to be done there.
the members would clean the clubhouse, so we don't have to pay the members,
Okay.
unless you'd like to. I mean, just
But-
putting that out there for them, but.
There is some money in the recreation funds, and so relative to the tent and other items, I gotta believe that tent has gotta be 10 to 15 years old,
Probably every bit of it.
and it's shot, so. But we could probably pay most of that out of the recreation funds.
It was just, those were a few things just to, keep in mind when we do the budget in April.
Can I ask you just a couple questions?
Sure, go right ahead.
The 10, what does something like that cost? Any idea?
We're not really sure yet.
Okay. And then the concerts on Fridays, or they'd be on Fridays, like they were?
Yeah, we're hoping, and,
Will that fellow be affiliated again? That was.
Cindy was supposed to be giving me his number, and I think that fellow was a part of that. Remember, not during the pandemic, they had the concert in the park with the big band?
Yeah, he played in like every band. He's really
Yeah,
talented.
this guy was like, when they lit the Mizzier Park up at night,
Oh,
this guy was a part of that club
Yeah.
also.
Right.
So she was supposed to give me the number, or he's gonna call me.
Yeah, he played in every band and every style.
Yeah, that guy was
Pretty
cool.
impressive.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
really nice guy.
yeah.
Thank you, Kevin.
You got it.
Is that it, Kevin?
That's it. Appreciate your
So
time.
I'll just dove into this. I'm expecting that we're gonna do summer camp this year, so I think it would be a good idea to put an ad in the paper looking for a camp director, and so we advertise it.
Yes, please.
So that's the basis of my item here.
Can I jump in on that, Mayor? I think this is something that needs to be done right away.
Right.
Only because we have to go through the county with this stuff, get everything lined up, and the health department, display everybody's names on it, and we shouldn't be dragging our feet until May.
I agree.
We need to do this like by next month,
Well,
if we could.
Well, I'm on it, all right?
Okay.
And I can get the ad in the paper for next Wednesday, the 16th. When do you want to have applicants in by? I would say 2 weeks would be March 30th.
there you go.
And we can hire them by the next board meeting.
When's the next meeting?
Yeah,
Not the reorg, but
right.
unless we can do, I'm not sure if we can do it. I doubt we can do it, but I would say next week.
If I can get it in, I'll send it up to Southern Dutchess tomorrow. It'll be in next Wednesday's paper.
Okay.
We'll go 2 weeks to the 30th. Well, we'll end it on the 29th, so
Can I
we have it for the
Okay.
30th.
Yep.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Just for clarification, is this a new policy? This is new, right, to put out the camp director? In the past, we haven't applied.
Well, I wasn't around for the previous.
In the past,
Well, no, but like our last, we had this board was last.
We didn't have a summer camp last year.
No, I know, but what we did until.
And the year before that, it was not put out, and there was quite a few complaints
Yeah, that's my
about the fact that
question.
it was not.
So this is a new effort
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
transparency.
Yeah.
Cool, just checking in on that.
Okay, so
Thank you.
I'll put it in the paper, and the last day for receiving apps will be the 29th.
okay, 29.
Yeah, just so you know, Adam, a commercial grade 20 by 30 premium canopy tent is running in the $2,500 to $2,800 range.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, go figure, huh?
COVID inflation.
Okay, you may,
Might be able to get some donations.
You could
Never
also go
know.
to Durant's, and a lot of times they'll send you their slightly used, sell you their tents
Scratch and dent.
It's a great idea.
for a lot cheaper.
Oh, maybe the Empire.
Well, figure out the cost per year, you have 15 years on it, not much.
okay, last meeting, I was asked to go and find out if the village board needed to do competitive bidding for a village engineer company. I did. I called NICOM, Conference of Mayors, and they said, yes, the state controller wants you to get competitive bidding for an engineer. I provided you with 3 quotes over the past couple weeks. They're in this handout, again, if you haven't seen them. All 3 are in there. And on April 4th, you will be able to select an engineer for your reorg for 2022 into 23. That's that.
Can I just ask something for clarification? The recommendation is involved for an audit, but just for clarification, it's not illegal, it's not a legal requirement, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
In the past, professionals were just picked without that process. NICOM instructed me that it's the New York State Controller's position that you
Yes.
do it.
We
All right, so you have that, so you can work with that and figure out what you want to do there.
So, are we talk about it right now?
Oh,
I want to see, are we still marching along as the way we
yeah, sure.
had?
You've all had a chance to see the 3
Yeah.
votes, right?
So, I mean, has anything changed with our
It has not with me. I was for your recommendation.
So, okay,
Yeah, I'm also for your recommendation, so. At this time.
and you're still with that? Mike,
Elaine won't be here for
No, but
Yeah, so I would suggest maybe for this type of matter, you might want to go into executive session when you come out if there's a resolution. You
Well,
know,
I was gonna say, couldn't we vote tonight so we're prepared for the reorg appointment?
well,
You could do a straw poll or something?
No, make a regular
Well,
vote.
no, just make, I mean, if nothing's changed, we can, because last time that's what we kind of did, so then it's on, again, we're talking about what we already talked about. I understand why.
would it be an interim appointment through the end of the month until reorg? Is that?
No, I'm just saying like, so, in preparation for reorg, because when reorg comes, we just kind of make the appointment.
Yeah.
Wouldn't we be voting to, so that it's all in line?
Well, there are going to be resolutions for your consideration for everything that has to do with reorg.
Hold on, that's all.
And at that point in time, you know, you'll.
I don't see the big effort here.
Well, no, just honestly,
What happens is, where I get the appointments, I ask for some input for the appointments for some people.
Sure.
I kind of know what committees people like and whatever. For this kind of appointment, you come to a meeting of the minds and then fine, and that's it. And so,
okay, that's fine. I was having a
And then the-
conversation
and
with,
then the vote can be made right
Okay.
then and there.
that's fine.
But the resolution won't be prepared on the day of reorg? I believe you're looking to try to get that all done, so it's.
Yeah, because I was basically having a conversation, trying in preparation for this, because this will be my first actual reorg. I mean, I was here last
Well,
time.
the sooner though that we get the consensus for the engineer, just let me know.
I guess what I'm saying is we had the consensus. Nothing's really changed. We had these forms last time. We had the consensus. And I was just in an effort to be strategic and quick about our reorg, where there was no mysteries and we were positioned to just go down the lane. That's what I was thinking. I was trying to do.
By my count, I already see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 votes. So I don't think too much is changing. And you know,
Cool. Great. I'm just still learning.
okay.
Thanks for the education.
I just wanted to fulfill the requirement to give you 3 bids. That's all I wanted to do
Right.
there with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
The next item, Heather McCormick, you know, is our residential garbage clerk and administrative assistant at the Village Hall, who put a considerable amount of effort into the payroll audit. This is an audit that's a requirement from Dutchess County personnel that we do every year, where we reconcile all the positions and make sure all the positions are what they're supposed to be assigned by employee, and that the payments of the part-timers do not exceed their hours. And it takes a lot of time, a lot of coordination, and a lot of effort. And again, this year, we passed the payroll audit. So kudos to Heather for that effort.
Very good.
That's excellent.
Now, you may recall, I came to the board for the 3rd time in the last 4 years requesting this company Spyglass to do an audit of our equipment, or more specifically, our cell phone usage and our regular phone usage with Verizon. And they completed the audit. There wasn't much left for them to clean up this time, but in the past, they saved us thousands. We saved $2,244 as a result of the audit, and that'll be ongoing year after year after year after year. So we, that audit is complete.
Nice job.
Very good.
Thank you. They're very thorough, very thorough. I am in receipt of an email from Richard Swanson requesting permission to have their festival in the falls on June 11th. I didn't research it, I didn't have time, but I believe you have already approved that last year. But can we have a motion to approve Festival in the Park for this year
I'll
for
make it.
trustee Ponte, second? All in favor?
Aye. Mayor votes aye.
Carried. Mayor wanted to discuss a civilian patrol officer position.
Well, I saw a bunch of chatter going around, and so at one time, the village had a civilian patrol officer. He was more or less stationed in the central business district, and this was probably around 2001, 2002. And he would help people cross the intersections. He did have the capability of writing some tickets in the central business district. And he had some other duties. He would check the doors and just walk around in the central business district. That was his main thrust in there. He could, though, also expand out. So I didn't know if the village was interested in this kind of work being done by someone to perhaps maybe lighten the load for some of the policemen. But it's a discussion point, and so maybe there is a job description too, the clerk can provide. Is it in this packet?
No, Mayor, I have it upstairs.
Yeah, but you can think about it, and we can, if you so desire, we can revisit it. It's not a problem.
Well, I'd like to see something like this done, because there's a lot of opportunities we can have with this gentleman. I talked to Commissioner Ferry yesterday, we talked about it briefly, and I think this would be great for the village.
I will tell you though,
It can pay for itself.
the one individual we had was very good, and he got to a little bit aggressive, and he was writing a lot of tickets, so much so that the businesses in the district were complaining.
Well, it's
You
funny.
know.
I can understand how they're complaining, but if you look in the village law book, there are portions of East Main Street that are a few hour parking. So if the gentleman sees a car parked there, of course he can write tickets there.
Well, he started writing tickets for expired inspections and
Registration.
tires that were bald. He really,
Well, I mean,
It does make it difficult sometimes as someone that's had businesses on the main corridor when, maybe it could involve, there's a balance, and it's like, how do you strike the balance? That's always the, 2 hours, sometimes it's hard to eat and shop and do whatever, so.
we could probably bend those rules, or not bend the rules, but make them a little longer.
Would it make sense to have the commissioner speak about it?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that position, I'm assuming, would fall under the police department, and we can control that. I'm apparently pretty good at getting people not to write tickets. Seriously, though, you can do it. I wouldn't allow them to write for unregistered or uninspected, that's not something we want to do with parking tickets. So, you can control that, so it's not a problem, because that's what I would see as a problem with that position.
oh, he got jaywalkers, he got a lot of them.
I got a ticket at work one year. Cop came in and was walking up and down the aisle. My registration, my inspection was expired.
I will scan it in and send it out to you all to look at tomorrow.
Great, thank you.
So
Okay.
then when he came in to buy cold cuts, you gave him the
I didn't know who it
expired
was,
cold
but
cuts?
I'll tell you, it was just a few days overdue. I was not happy.
Okay.
Trustee Lauricella wanted to talk about the building department.
Yeah, so, as most of you know, and as several of you are involved in, we have a continued project, working with the building department to try and address some issues. And in addition, the building department recently had accepted the resignation of a part-time deputy building inspector. So now is the time to try to get the support that the building department needs, I think, to get some of these matters addressed. And so I had a thought that there's a couple ways we can do it, and rather than constantly have these compartmentalized conversations that I have with all the trustees, and or then try to get a group email or group text and get a consensus, I thought that maybe for once I would try to have the conversation in this form. So one of the ways I thought we could perhaps solve some of our challenges in the building department, because currently, as you know, there's just 2 people involved, is to have a deputy. If we had a deputy like we had that went out in the field, but what if we had a deputy or a planner? I don't know what it would be called, but we'll just call it for this sense, a deputy that is not out in the field and is rather in the office and doing some of the workload that has been challenging to do when you're also going out in the field. Brian Murphy seems to have a great skill set of being out in the field. It's a part of his job that he seems to like and excel at. And what if we supported him by getting the deputy who sits in the office and maybe helps supplement him with going over site plan? For example, one of the things that Brian Murphy does, I don't know if everyone knows this, but he reviews all planning applicants that come before the planning board. He's got to look at all that stuff. He's got to get it to planning, and then once it goes through planning, he has to continue to stay on top of that they're meeting the expectations of the planning board. Then when the project comes to completion, he has to do a site plan overview and approve it, which might seem like not a lot, but especially in the way that some of us, like Trustee Ruffin, Trustee Sadati and I are trying to do, we're asking a lot. So what if that person was to take on those projects? And we've had a repeated situation where there was certain snow ordinance expectations, and at the same time there's 5 businesses that have had on their calendars say that they need to have fire inspections. But you can't really just do away with those inspections when people are waiting and they need. So what if we did something like that? What if we had somebody that was more of a, I hate to use these words, but it's the only words I kind of know. Like there's like the legs and the arms and the legs of the job, and there's kind of like the brain of the job. And what if we had somebody that was supplementing him that way, rather than supplementing him in the field?
So what you're looking for is maybe, instead of going off of a list at the county, maybe we create a building department planner.
Something like, it's an idea, it's an avenue we could consider.
Can I please jump in here? This is not a new idea.
Okay,
I was asked several years
but
ago,
it's still a good idea.
it's a great idea. I was asked several years ago to write it up, submit it to Dutchess County for their evaluation. They evaluated it as a part-time position, sent it back, and it's in our inventory. And it's been sitting in our inventory for 3 or 4 years.
Okay, great. So what I would like to do is fill that position, if you're agreeable, and consider, other ways to bolster, the building department. I welcome, Mike and Pat and I have been working with the mayor and Craig and really hard. So I don't want to be the only one to discuss this. I'm sure, Mike, you have an opinion. I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
So the administrative assistant that we had previously spoken of, that would help Brian out. Brian would do the field processing for like enforcement and then fire inspection, and he's the plumbing inspector, and he's basically soup to nuts inspection. Then has to go back to the office and write up the reports. That's one train of thought that we had, but then the other idea is to actually break up his position and say, okay, Brian, you're responsible for, let's say, fire inspection and site plan reviews and then walkthroughs, and then have another individual who's gonna be primarily like enforcement and plumbing inspection and whatnot. So that's a tough decision.
I would actually say that's a great idea too.
Yeah,
I would do
that's a
both.
great idea too, but that
I would
was
do
our
both.
idea.
I would do both.
Have you heard?
Yeah.
What I would suggest as well, toward your point, which are great suggestions, we have to fix our code and get that zoning amendment done, because that is one of the tools of the trade that these positions require, is to streamline the process for our applicants, you know, our citizens. And this new code amendment, as you know, you've read through it.
We're hoping to, come April, we're hoping to be at public comment.
I think it's way more user-friendly than the current code, and it has a lot of improvements that I think will also enhance and improve our building department.
I agree.
So with that in mind, I don't know when the next code meeting, as for lack of a better word, that we would have on Mondays with the group of 5 is gonna be, but, or if, I'm gonna assume you're gonna keep Brian in the loop on this.
I've spoken with Brian in his office about this, so nothing I'm saying here would be a surprise to him.
Okay. So, if we schedule another one of these group of 5 meetings, we can devote a third of the time of that meeting to this particular item. And so then, when the time comes, if we come to a clear decision, maybe we can do something the end of March or at the April meeting.
Sure, that's great, and I mean, I welcome just everybody who's not been involved on the everyday. It seems like Mike and I and Pat are like tethered to the hip about these things. The whole goal really just has to, my philosophy is to try to equip these departments with the tools they need.
So-
And we're running so lean
It-
that to me, it's feeling like could be the missing piece of the puzzle as to why the 3 of us are chasing our tails, because we're we're expecting more than most.
Yeah, and I just want to jump in and say, I think our vision is for us to be able to give our department heads the tools they need to do their job. And then when we're expecting them to do their job, they'll have the tools to do it. And then there'll be no question if the work's not getting accomplished, or we have to go through everything. Like Craig said, the zoning laws, assistance, whatever we have to do to get this department to thrive, and talk to our department heads and ask them what they need from us. And we should all want to do that as a group if we can afford to do these things. Maybe not all at once, but at least 2 of the things we spoke about have to be done right away.
Yeah.
Our department is not, it's not running on all cylinders, and we need it to run on all cylinders.
I appreciate it, and one's budgeted, right? So my question was like, do we take that salary and put it for a field worker, or do we take that salary and, you know, it may have to be supplemented and put it towards somebody who, you know, maybe it's a position of someone who was formerly in these positions, or a retired architect, or a retired engineer, or a retired, I don't know, developer. I don't know, somebody that just wants to kind of do it and isn't necessarily there to, you know, support a family on a part-time job. But I just really want to get to a point where everyone feels like the board is on that we're all a team across departments.
We
And then,
can-
like Pat said, then there's no mystery.
We can make a committee meeting. I would propose March 14th at 8 a.m. if we're amenable. We'll put that out in a blast
I just need to see.
email, and then we have to talk about restructuring that department. Now, again, maybe breaking up the position, like Brian's position is the right way to go. If you add an administrative employee, that might create more chaos, have two employees each writing reports and then, inspecting for that particular job position might be better than having, like Brian report to somebody else. Like things get lost in translation that way.
Yeah, there's no Brian
can
reporting
discuss
to
that.
anyone, it's Brian.
At that
Brian
point,
is
yeah.
being reported to.
To.
I'm not looking to have, Brian's the boss.
Well, you know what I mean, like Brian would turn over reports to said administrative employee who then types them up and makes a clerical error.
Yeah, that's the difference. I'm not really looking for an administrative assistant, because in my opinion, that's what Mercedes is.
Okay, so then what
I'm
do you say,
looking
like a
for
supervisor? So then, like Brian,
somebody whose wheelhouse is to,
you're looking for a village planner is what you're looking for.
which is what I said in the beginning.
Right, so, but that
But
person.
it would be
the village-
part-time.
But would the village planner then be responsible for like writing up reports and enforcement memos and?
There would have to be
Etc.
a moment where we figure all of those
Sure.
things out and delegate.
You said you'd done this in the past and you created a position. Could you get that for us, please?
Sure did. I put a lot of effort into that, and they approved it, put it in our inventory, exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
From the
Would you-
previous
Would you
administration.
provide that for us?
3 years
So we can
ago.
have it for the committee meeting? Would that be okay?
Yes, you'll get it first.
Thank you very much.
I am gonna send it to you
Good
tomorrow
work.
morning.
Excellent.
And the last thing I want to say on this is that we have to have Brian weigh in on what he thinks
Yes.
is best for his department at the moment to thrive. So we'll work all that out, we'll hash some things out in the committee meeting, we'll bring it back to the board, but I hope everybody's vision is where we are to try to help our department heads thrive. It's a crucial cog in the wheel of the building department.
I think that's, I'm pretty sure, I hope that's why we're all here, because we
Well,
want to build a better village. So, I think all our hearts are in the right places, I'm sure of that. Raw team.
Okay. So before we go to the next item, clerk, I'm gonna let the attorney, this item came up this afternoon, and it's relative to Bain Park, relative to the next meeting.
It's on the agenda?
I handed it out, it's an email.
It's not on the agenda, right?
No,
No, it's an add-on.
The knowledge.
The attorney asked me,
So, as you know,
I thought this item could be done on the 16th, it evidently cannot.
well, it is going to be. It's the subject of your special meeting that you're holding on March 16th. This is the Bain Park Playground, and there were some comments. The entire project was sent over to county planning by Nancy Clark, who's lead engineer. And there were comments from county planning regarding that she wanted you to be aware of before the March 16 meeting. So county planning is involved because there's, first and foremost, this particular project is tied to a CDBG grant with county planning. Two of them. And we are, we have to go through that administrative process and get the results back to county planning so that we can, properly process the grant, which Cindy Latino is doing. So I got the supporting papers from Nancy. There were comments, and I wanted to read those comments to you because if you have any suggestions that deviate from them, she needs to know about it so she can incorporate it into the specs that go out to bid for the bid process. All right, so she sent an email and she said that Dutchess County Planning, Mike Paratikos, has provided comments on the design plan and the bid form for Bain Park. And then she numbered them. Number 1, modify the walkways into the play area to extend to the play equipment surface. Number 2, show the installation of 3 benches, which the village already owns. And those apparently are at the old boathouse. They are owned. She gave pictures of those as well. This 2 different styles. the same styles as the benches at Franny Reese Park, in parentheses, within the fenced play area. A concrete pad will be proposed for the installation of each bench. She provided a proposed simulation picture in her email to the board. Number 3, KC will show a bike rack or 2 if the village requests it. Please review and advise. Number 4, modify the bid form for all items to be base bid with no add alternative items. The accessible parking is half of the small proposed parking area, so there's too little benefit to including half in base bid and half in add alternative. That's a comment that she's making a recommendation on. And number 5, revise engineer opinion of cost estimate. The revisions will increase costs. So obviously these revisions, with the exception of the benches that we already own, will increase the cost slightly. So she does need some feedback in order to implement the changes for your consideration on March 16th. Any comment from the board?
March 16th at 6 o'clock.
March 16th at 6 o'clock.
Oh boy, okay.
You'll be asked to make a secret determination, and there'll be a resolution ready for you at that moment.
Should we consult the planning or zoning board or anybody else about that changes or?
No, I think she's
that
looking
nature.
for feedback because you're going to be lead agency.
Okay.
So you should be looking, if you're going to make any comment, let's do it now so that we can get the feedback to her to incorporate. So basically, I
Well,
think
these are
she's-
minor adjustments to the plan, so I don't think there's anything major here.
Oh, they're costly.
Pardon?
They're costly.
A couple of them are,
Yeah.
but moving the park down closer to the road and everything else saves on, there's some other cost saving relative to the grading that they would have had to have done the other way, so
I think
There
those-
Is there a way to find out what what costs would be incurred?
When you get up your budget.
She's going to go over that. She's away, but she's going to be present on the 16th.
No, but I mean, just in preparation, like Kevin was just saying, some of these changes are costly, is there a
well,
way?
why don't you generate a call to well, Cindy does Bain Park, see if she.
I don't know if Cindy would want to talk to me.
Okay, so
You can-
I mean, the concrete.
why don't you generate a call to me
Okay.
and tell me what you want to ask?
Let's say we go with all the suggestions and see what the cost level is of this.
Well, yeah, I was wondering if we could
No,
do
no,
it
no.
ahead of time.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. If we say, we're going with all your recommendations, which,
Because that's what I would be inclined to do.
right, let's just get a number, see if we.
But when Kevin says they're costly, it's a little out of my.
Could be a change order. So, meaning, I sat through a meeting upstairs with the
Yeah.
two ladies, and the way I take it, it seemed to kill a lot of these grants with these change orders.
Oh, see, like that's info I
I
don't
mean, you
know.
say we're in trouble, and here we're doing it again, so.
Well, let's see what the costs are gonna be, and then we either say, give them a thumbs up, or,
And consult our grant writer and see.
Right.
see where we're at.
Yeah, you can do that, I mean,
We need to make an informed decision, so.
and we can talk to the treasurer and see if the money's there and we're safe.
yeah. Okay,
All right,
back with there, attorney?
I think so.
You got that, Andrew? Okay, good, just checking.
the next item was retirement package for non-union employees, trustee Larissella.
I'll actually take that. Unless you want to say anything first.
We can tag team it. We can all do it.
Did everybody get a packet? Yes. Does everybody have a packet?
Yes. Thank you, Jen.
So
Let me see that back.
basically, I just collected Dutchess County, Fishkill, Poughkeepsie, Town of Wappingers, spoke to some of the people there, seems what most do is look at Dutchess County's packages for their non-union benefit plans, and they just kind of go from there. As you can see from the 4 that are posted in here, they're all different, but not too far apart. So we just need to, in my opinion, take a look at what's here, realize what we need to do with it, and make a decision, because they're not that far apart. So Dutchess County's, just so you know, is on page 12 of their packet, and then the other 3, the town of Wappingers, Poughkeepsie, and Fishkill are the last 3 pages.
Okay. So do we have, can we come to a fairly good opinion here?
Well, we have, I would just say, as we're looking at these, we have obviously a smaller tax base than all these other municipalities, so I think we need to keep that in mind.
And with that, though, I would also say we have, with the smaller tax base also comes smaller amount of employees. So
It does.
Probably,
It does.
it's probably consistent, because the county, we have a population of 5,000 people. The county, I think, is, how much is it?
320.
320. So, I mean, that's significant too. There's way more employees.
Like I said, they're all within 5% of each other, here and there.
So to be clear too, as it pertains to this, it's not, we're not talking about any union employees. And the number of employees is, I think, 4, am I correct? 4 or 5, maybe?
On this, what we're talking about?
Non-union
I think it's
employees.
4.
4 employees, so just to crystallize that, it's something worth noting. We're not talking about a large amount of people. We're also talking about largely department heads or other professional positions. One thing I thought was an interesting way to do it. I had mentioned it before. I did look at all these. I think they're all cool. They're all sensible. But if we did like a five.
Let me ask a question here on this. I see the years of service. I see the employee and the town contribution. Does it have? I'll just take town of Wappinger, last page. Years of service, 10 to 14 years.
55, are you talking about?
I want to know age, yes.
Yeah, 55.
So, all of these plans are at 55? Okay. Okay.
So what I was thinking, it's not a crazy idea to think if you earn 5% per year, but you don't vest till 10 years. That's an interesting.
Your plan is giving way more than
Not way more. No, not.
15% more.
That's a lot more.
Well, it's given more than what? Than the town. It's not given more than. There's multiple.
That's town of Wappinger.
Yeah, in town of. I just looked at one where it was
Well, the county's at 50.
the county. It matches the county.
The county gives the most.
Right. Well, it matches the county. You just said we're going off the county, so I'm going off the county.
No, well, most people take the counties and they kind of
Yeah.
go
Yeah, so
from
we
there.
can kind of give.
Right. And that's where I was starting. Yeah.
Town of Poughkeepsie's at, they go 10 to 19 years. That's 35% that the town would give. Okay, so we can look this over and think about it.
Think about it.
Well, let's think. Yeah, let's
Think now.
we've had DZ.
We've been talking about this for months.
I'm not saying necessarily
I think
get
the town of
I'm not saying
Wappinger-
get to a vote, but let's
Excuse me a
flesh
second.
some stuff out.
When have we talked about this at a board meeting?
Well, that's we've talked about it 3 different times at board meetings. What do you mean?
With numbers in front of us?
No, but we got these
I
numbers.
understand.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm confused. Your question was, when have we talked about it at board meetings? We've talked about it at 2 or 3 board meetings. She was tasked to give us this information. I'm not saying let's not get a vote. I'm just saying, let's get a handle on this.
No. My trustee from the first ward, and I'll say that because I'm from the first ward, he makes it sound like we've been talking about it forever and ever. We haven't. We've brushed upon it. But we talked about it, and Jen and you took the lead on it. You said, this is where we're at.
Well, so like I'll make, one of the things I wanted to bring to everyone's attention again, and I'll do it again, is that there were some things that were more memorialized in this very contentious document called the Employee Handbook. Where it stands is very difficult to know. Brooke Youngsworth will be in an executive, and she'll be telling us her expert legal opinion on it. But there's things that it says here that lead me to believe that there were intentions. Everybody's had it because Trustee Ruffin, sorry, sent it to us months and months ago. I just think we need, so like down here on this end, you guys seem to have a cohesive opinion, which is what? What is the opinion?
My opinion is, looking at the town of Wappenders, That's the one I
You would follow the town, so you would follow the town of Wappingers?
I would follow.
Just as it is? You wouldn't chop it up, you'd be like 35's cool, 50's cool, 70's cool when you get there.
I'd be willing to negotiate the 35 at that point, maybe 30 to 35, but yeah.
Alright. That's good to know. Because one thing we also need to understand is the probability of anyone reaching, there's almost little to no fear, if that's what anyone here on the board has, is fear that someone will get to a 70%. There's no chance someone's gonna work for 25 years in these positions. Likely by the time, someone that's a highway supervisor historically,
He's not gonna.
I'm not talking about anyone specific, I'm just saying, I'm just giving you an example. By the time they have the knowledge to sit in there, they're already of a certain age, much like a building inspector, they're already of a certain
But they
age.
can get 20 years for sure.
Yeah, but I didn't say 20 years.
What?
Right? I was talking about the county and their threshold for 70%, which is 25 years. The chances of that's very, very small, that's all I'm saying. Just like the treasurer, the chances of a treasurer surviving a dozen or so appointments if they come in at any young age. I mean, I'm sure Andrew will have at least a dozen, but you get my point. So we're really only talking about, we're almost only talking about the first 2 tiers. And that's something worth commenting on.
And that's why I just wanted to be very careful about giving too much away on those first 2 tiers. And our earlier discussions were extremely high on those 2 tiers.
I understand.
And that's why I wanted to just show the comparison of that's not what, not only is it not out there in those first 2 tiers, but if you look to some of these that are, people are 30 years and they're still not getting more than 70%.
No, I know.
So-
But we'll never have a 30 year. We'll never have a 70%.
Well, you never say never.
Never
And
say never.
we just need to, we might be making policy right now, but we're making policy for the future, so we just,
Correct. Oh,
we gotta
100%.
be careful.
You also have to remember that these people were asking to do these jobs for the salary we're asking them to do it, and the knowledge and experience they need for these positions. We're trying to give them no incentive on spending serious time here and doing what they, coming here with knowledge and doing the work and being great at their job. And what do we give them? We're saying, oh no, just come here. If you don't stay here till you're 70, we want you here at 40, in your 40s to your 50s, but stay here till 70 so you can get any kind of coverage. How is that?
Well, that's what the town of Wappinger does. I mean,
That's
no
what
offense.
everybody, that's what everybody does.
do. So,
So you just follow what everybody else does, and there's promises made to people?
It
and that
is.
we have a handbook that's posted online that says, some trustees down the line said, let's give these people 100%. Let's pull out the handbook and see what's written in the handbook from previous boards here and is posted online.
It is written in a handbook that,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
actually, that the
posted.
employees do, and it's on our website, that the employees pay the non-union employees pay 0 contribution to their health insurance.
and
I'm looking at it.
that was adopted by a.
And that was sent by you have it in your email.
And it's posted on the Village of
It's
Wappinger
posted on the
website.
village website.
So let's be very careful.
So
on what
we're
doing.
backtracking on things we already have been doing. And so I want to get to another point, and this, we don't have to be an executive because we're not talking about specific people. So I don't want to be told anything like that. Huh?
That's right. Let's keep it going.
So there's an area here that really would be great to hear. We will hear from, what?
No, I said I'm not objecting.
Okay, that we'll hear from Ms. Youngworth, but maybe Craig can speak to it because I don't have, I'm just a humble shopkeeper. I didn't go to law school, but there's one part where it says here, because I got to tell you, Pat and I in particular, and Kevin, have been talking about this so much. I feel uncomfortable talking to them this much.
You're doing good.
Weird. I miss them when I'm not talking to them. Okay. Just give me a second to find this because it's almost crystallized here. Okay, well here it goes. It definitely says here, for employees hired on or after June 1st, 2003, which is all of these folks currently. Employees, 100% of insurance costs for employees. Employee contribution is 0% of insurance cost. Then, when you get to retirement, medical insurance for retirees. Coverage will make available medical insurance coverage to the eligible full-time employee who retires from the village. So that's everyone we're talking about that would retire. Coverage is also available for eligible dependents, etc. It doesn't apply. Coverage for
Right,
so
it doesn't say what percent.
Coverage at what
Hold
percent?
on. Well, I'm gonna tell you. You guys all have this handbook, all you gotta do is read it. But in the event the retiree predeceases the dependents may continue medical coverage. Eligibility. To be eligible for coverage, an employee retiring must have the same age and full-time service that makes the employee eligible for full pension. So that wouldn't be 62, I think, which you might not get. Such full-time service must be continuous service performed by the village. This is where I don't know what's happening as far as those times. In addition, the employee must have applied for and been granted a bona fide retirement benefit from New York State. And when you go over there to the retirement, it says the village will make available New York State's employee retirement plan for eligible employees. Employees eligible for service retirement benefits after 5 years of credible public sector service. Does that mean they only have to work here for 5 years?
They're vested. I think that's what that
Okay.
means.
In the event the employee leaves after 5 years of service but prior to retirement age, such employee may receive a benefit at retirement age related to those years in public sector.
And
So
the
you don't
age-
get anything until you hit the age.
And in this particular item, is the age 62?
Well, that's what I'm asking. I'm assuming it is, because you go by the state. You gotta be 62, right? In the
Or
state.
is it,
62.
60 what?
I don't know, is it 62 or 65?
Oh, I don't know.
are
Do
you
you know?
quoting from the village handbook, or are you quoting from?
This was from the village handbook.
Yes.
I just thought you guys would know better about when retirement is, because I don't think I have a shot at retirement.
I would say,
62?
62.
I was gonna say 60.
Anybody know? Charlie, you know how old you gotta be to retire?
Only police.
No.
Okay, so anyway, it seems that there's things in place. And I just wanna so we should get somewhere at some point, obviously not tonight. We got a lot of information and everybody's opinion's valid, so. What do you think, Mike?
Past practice, what did we give? Past practice. It was all piecemeal. That's what
I don't know, well, past
Past
practice,
practice is the board would vote on it, and, I mean, I have no
I
problem.
don't see any,
past practice was full.
Past practice was full.
It says right in here, full.
Full.
Clearly, I can send it to everybody. It says full and 90%
Of
for
eligible.
eligible dependent.
Dependent, or
So
deceased,
that's what
or
a
widow.
previous board put into this handbook to put in place. So I'm just saying that was there.
I never got an answer. Was that board actually, that employee handbook voted on and adopted?
Yes, it says it on the handbook.
2003.
In 2003 it was, and as Brooke Youngworth will tell us when she comes here, the fact that it's on our website further solidifies it. We have it out there that it's our employee handbook, so it's our employee handbook. Why are you looking at me like you're
It's gonna
mad
be
at
a
me?
fun executive session.
Oh, maybe.
Well, these things are out there and we're responsible.
I'm just trying to lift the veil. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Okay.
Now, I just want to say one thing, because I handle the insurance. You're breaking new ground here. You have to take in consideration, doesn't matter what percent you're talking about, I
Yeah.
don't really care. But the treasurer's going to have to be involved in this because it's a very complex MVP
course.
system we have.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this is not something, this is like a huge, this is like very challenging.
so did you just recently find that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like yesterday.
Yesterday, okay.
Yeah. And was like, whoa, this is interesting.
I just
then
find
we-
it hard to believe
then
that
we
we have
need-
nothing.
Then we need to go over that.
Yeah. And Brooke will be here tonight to also talk about it. But it just seems like we have to make this a priority because it's been months in talking about this.
So we'll touch on an executive from here.
Well, thanks for listening.
Okay, wait, I'll get to that. You touched on this, we didn't touch on this. 15 months ago, the village board decided to make me the office manager for calming purposes, let's say. So, the two billing clerks, the treasurer, tell me, and the receptionist downstairs, Anne Marie, tell me when they're gonna leave, when they're gonna come in, doctor's appointments, and all of that, so that works well. And I assume that all the employees that work for the department heads tell them when they're gonna be out, absent, and all of that. So the only thing that's left that we haven't really talked about, or put into a procedure, or memorialized, is what's the communication between the building inspector, highway superintendent, police commissioner, and village attorney when they're gonna be on vacation? Who do they
Or sick.
communicate?
Or sick.
Sick, or out for the day, personal choice, whatever. We don't have that.
A procedure
Well-
in writing, or what is the
Well-
actual procedure?
In your handbook that you're all talking about, there's a section in there called 600 absence policies, but when you read it, it really refers to the employee and what they should do. It doesn't say how department heads should communicate when they're gonna be out. So, if they wanna tell me or the mayor, that's fine.
Well, as of, what's the highway superintendent, every time he's taking time, he emails the committee. So the chairperson and the other people, and lets us know that he's not gonna be around and that this is the foreman, contact the foreman, he will be taking over my duties. So that's how it is right now, and I haven't had any problems on it, but,
He's been doing that for the 5 years that I was.
so I guess we
on
can
the chair.
discuss if that's not sufficient, or if certain people should be reporting to other people, I don't know.
Well, I know Pete tells Heather when he's gonna be out, then Heather will tell me.
Right, but the email, he sends it to us also, so we know as.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that department, but I don't know about the building department, how they do it. I think he tells Mercedes when he's gonna be out. And, police commissioner, I don't know, if you tell the mayor when you're gonna be out.
I don't take any time off. The only time I've taken off is when I was in the intensive care. I haven't taken any I haven't taken any of the vacation time.
Well, I don't think it's a question of whether you have or not, it's if
Well,
you,
if I were to do that, I would tell Lieutenant Caparelli and Jeanette, and it would be reflected in payroll.
okay. And village attorney? You would tell the mayor when you're gonna be on vacation?
Yes.
Okay. I'll tell the mayor when I'm gonna be out. I have to. So we're all happy with the way things are? The only thing we gotta do is get Brian to communicate to.
Well, Brian should at least communicate to you, whether he wants to communicate to me. I just don't wanna,
If I get a call and I say, well, I walk down to the building department, I walk down there and Mercedes says, well, he's out today or in the week, or he's having
And
it.
usually you should just, I would think the easiest thing to do would be just to notice, like, because I'm not on the highway, and I think I even get it when Haji's on his vacations. I mean, it should just be like an email, or just sent to the clerk, the board of trustees, and the mayor. It's not really asking for permission, it's just so that we are made aware.
Yeah,
So, you know, it should just be a simple email, in my opinion, to the board, the mayor, the board of trustees, and the clerk.
well,
Is it text sufficient?
when they did that handbook, I can tell you, they rated everybody by the position and whatever they held, and the clerk was the number one person, and the treasurer was number two. That's how they rated it.
Well, Mayor, if I could just add one thing, under the village law, the mayor is the head of all departments, the ex aficionado. official.
I know that.
So really, all departments are supposed to, or fall under your umbrella, but, you know, especially when it comes to things like that, personnel. So they'd be reporting to you, all department heads, so, but it should be, in writing somehow, some type of,
No, just a courtesy. I'm gonna be out in Tahiti for 2 weeks, but just let me know.
All right, if they can email me, copy me, I'll tell the mayor, and that's it. Okay, code changes, I think you already spent some time on that, trustee Lorasella.
Yeah, we're moving right along. The team that's been working on this for 4 years, first of all, which is pretty substantial amount of work, but Lisa Cobb and Michelle Grieg and Tom Morris and Bonnie Brady have been meeting, and I started to meet with them a few months ago, and we were meeting every week for about 2-3 hours each time. I think we've now gotten to a point where there's going to be some changes, some things that based on, you know, things that the trustees have said, and Mike in particular, and have talked about. I kind of had them do some editing down, and we talked through some things, so they're going to be changing a few things on the comp plan. We're making a few changes to the zoning map, and there's going to be the really important code changes that will hopefully equip the departments properly. And I'm anticipating, I don't know if Craig, you've been talking with Lisa at all about it, but I'm thinking April will be a time to have our first public comment. So I would love to be able to get the board to adopt this by June, and then we can put that behind us. But the level of work that has gone in on with those people is pretty impressive. They were left with quite a sloppy bag of slop.
yeah, I would just, I would.
It needs to be completed.
I would encourage the board to really, you know,
Bonnie Kiefer, by the way. Bonnie Brady was someone I went to college with, and I always call Bonnie Kiefer Bonnie Brady, and it just dawned on me. So Bonnie Kiefer is the all-star, not Bonnie Brady. Sorry.
Okay. There's a discussion about an office space for the village attorney.
Yeah. So Village attorney needs an office. He had one, I think, I found out, before COVID. But one of the things that's been mentioned to us is that he really is, by outside forces, is that there's an expectation that he have one. And so I spoke with Craig, and he didn't disagree. You think that would be helpful, right, Craig?
Yeah.
Bottom
So,
of the stairs.
what?
There's an office at the bottom of the stairs over there.
Well, I did look there, but that's too small. That's too small a closet. I was hopeful. It was like Harry Potter or something.
Anytime.
But there is the kind of third bedroom kind of office upstairs. It's like where everybody just like puts their stuff and like hides their Christmas presents. That was maybe Corey's office. It's an idea to utilize, have Craig there, and then that would also allow us to have better access. I don't really know. I at first thought maybe there's a lot of room at the police station, but Craig said really he serves the mayor and the board, and that's where he should be.
You have an entire Legion Hall. Too.
Right. Yeah, but it's far away. Right? Weren't you saying it kind of needs to be here?
I think it would be best if I was here because everybody comes here. When I'm here, I see it, all the trustees in and out, so I'd rather not be off the beaten path. I'd rather be, with you, with the mayor and the trustees, but that's up to the board, of course. I'll go wherever, I just have to have a place for files. And, I have to be able to lock up those files, obviously. And I had that when the village justice took my office, but.
Well, yeah, but that was for COVID. That's why we did that. We don't have to do that now.
Well, I will tell you, Heather McCormick gave me a tour of the courthouse so that I could, because she was really helping me try to find a solution. And we went back into this area, and I mean, perhaps you could have that other office, but there's no chance. I mean, these folks in the courthouse are packed like sardines.
Well, Nora's leaving in a month. That's where Donna used to sit. But when COVID hit,
Right.
we took the other justice out of that office and put her over there and put Donna in her office. That's how that happened.
Okay.
But Donna's going now.
I think that's
Nora's
the best
leaving.
office.
You
I do think it's the best office because we were also doubling it up for special prosecutor.
So you would go back into that office on the side here?
I think that.
Rich would go back to where the other attorney was, or the other court justice was.
Okay.
Nora's leaving, so Linda
When?
could, in a month.
In a month.
So,
And Linda could sit now where Nora is.
Okay. So is everyone agreeable to that?
I agree.
so for purposes of him having an office, what are the expectations of what we want to see him in that office?
Like
What's the
expectations of office hours? Is that what
Per
it is?
day? What is the expectation?
What? May I ask a question? Why do we need an office? Why does he need one?
Well, one of the things is, he needs one for accessibility, I believe. We would have better access if he had something where we knew we could see him. Right now, he has nowhere to be, so
We
he goes to his office. We can, but,
Technology's right here.
yeah, that is
I
true.
understand.
But there is an expectation from the state that he have an office.
Also, he's prepping for, once this is up and running, and he's prepping, he can have his, you got the building department right here, paperwork, getting the files he needs.
And there's guidelines with that.
But they did, correct? I mean, the state has weighed in that he should have,
They changed the law 3-4 years ago.
so they did weigh in that he is to have an office here. And they
The state did.
were displeased that he
Office of the
didn't.
State Controller.
Yeah. They were not pleased that he didn't. So I've known about, I mean, they told me that months ago, but I really didn't take any effort. I was just like, well, he doesn't have an office. And then last month I was like,
Whose
well,
office was downstairs in the corner?
Craig's.
Does anybody see a negative?
Oh, Lou's, I thought you said who's, sorry.
Lou's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
office was
Right.
downstairs in the
And
corner.
then he took it over.
Yes.
So the real question is anybody feel there's any negative impact to our attorney being in this building? Because I don't. Is there any, like, real objections to him having an office here? And if there's space, we said there's space,
There's space.
then we can make work?
No, let's go with it.
So can I make a motion to have Craig
Take over Lou's old
yeah,
office.
take over his, go back to his office?
When Nora
When
retired?
our effective, Nora,
Yes,
Second,
can do that.
second the motion.
so I made that motion that our attorney resumes his office at his previous location down here in the first floor of the court upon the retirement of Nora, what was her last name?
Zambrano.
Zambrano.
Okay, that's the motion.
That's the motion.
Second it.
Kevin Huber, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Thank you.
Got a home, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. In your handout, you'll see some color photographs that Kevin Huber took of parking in our parking lots. I think I put it in there, didn't
Yeah, it's in the back,
I? Okay. You'll see a BMW there that,
Mercedes.
a Mercedes, that's been there all during the curfew.
So it's been brought to my attention, there was a car with some damage in the parking lot. I went down and looked at it. A week or two prior to this, I've asked the clerk, was there any involvement of an accident in the parking lot, and he told me no. So then I took a picture. I haven't seen any parking permit on the car, and I taken a picture of our sign, and it's plain as day, black and white, 4-hour parking. This car hasn't moved since every snowstorm we had in this village. You can see there's snow around it, and guarantee you, this weekend there'll still be snow around it. Probably won't even be cleaned off.
Is there a plate on the back?
There is a plate.
Okay.
Going into our village code book, I found a law stating what's on this poster, or on this sign here. Basically, it's 4-hour parking from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. No overnight parking, 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. without village-issued overnight parking permit. Parking permits may be obtained through the office of the village clerk. So, and also I saw in the book, I should have made a copy of it, but I didn't. I forgot what section it was. Any car with damage on village property, on village roads, could be towed because this is a hazard. If someone shall get cut, hurt along this car, the first person they're coming to is the village of Wapenters Falls for some money.
Can we just run the plates?
Yeah, did it have a
We
plate
know
on
what
the
the car
back?
is, we've given their car tickets.
Yeah. But I would like
We're not
to,
gonna get in the habit of towing damaged cars, I think that's what you're doing.
Okay, but, as I mentioned to trustee Hubert, I think we know where this person allegedly lives.
yes, Commissioner Ferry and I have talked yesterday. We're pretty sure where he
First
is.
time I heard about it was yesterday,
But I think we kind of know where he lives.
but we know that person, yes.
So why don't we send him a registered letter?
What would you like me to say in the registered letter? Because there's nothing in the code that would tell me to send a registered letter.
No, we make a decision to send.
We've talked to him face to face about the car, we don't need to send him a registered letter. He was supposed to be going to the village clerk to get a permit the last time we talked to him.
I wouldn't even want to issue him a permit knowing that he's
No,
gonna leave a
and
bus
just
in the
ask
car
him.
there.
See, this is what I'm talking about, that law. Who decides who gets a permit and who doesn't? Who decides who gives a permit? It's not in the village code. You have a code that says cars can't park there, but you don't have a code that says anything else about where they're supposed to put the permit. There's nothing in the code that tells you the system or the regulations that enforce the permit. All it says is you're not supposed to have a permit to park there. You need to have 14th in the code to start doing that.
No, but we, as the owner of the park, could have a discussion with said individual and say, hey, guy, your car's been here for 5 months, it hasn't moved, 6 months. And then cite the damage issue that trustee Huber has said, and say, we want it moved.
I understand what you're saying. This is much more complex than that. You don't know the individual that's involved in this.
Oh,
And the number of complaints that we have about this individual for other things.
I've heard a few.
It's gonna be a
Well,
monument.
your recommendation is legislation.
Well, I just don't, if I look at any other places, and I knew we had it in my past place I worked, but if I look even at the Village of Fishkill, I said that there's nothing really that says that, there's nothing in the code that gives the clerk authority to give out a permit. And if there's gonna be a charge for it,
Oh, you're talking permit, I'm still talking about the car.
where they're supposed, the damage, you mean the damage,
The car.
or parking there for excessive hours. But he does move it, because I know we've given him tickets on their own with it, but, yeah, it can't be there for more than like 24 or 48 hours, is that section. I mean, there are ways to deal with that individual car, but it's probably would be a good idea to.
It has to be in the legislation, though, if there's a tow or something like that.
Right.
So what the officers call fix-it tickets for lights like this that are out, I mean, you don't issue him like a fix-it ticket that he has so many X amount of days to fix it, or you just walk by and look at it and go, wow, it's pretty bad.
There's no such thing as a fix-it ticket.
Yeah, I've gotten them where you have X amount of
On a
days
parked car?
to fix a
On a
light.
parked car, you have? Yeah.
What can I say? I'm a
I
bad
haven't
boy,
gotten on
Charlie.
a parked car.
I had one actually in Albany that I had to go and fix it and then report to the Albany.
Yeah, if you get pulled over, okay, if you get pulled over while you're driving with the headlight out, you have 24 hours to get it fixed, and that tickets will be dismissed. As a matter of fact, last year, the village court dismissed 300 tickets because of that very reason. So when you look at numbers of tickets, you need to actually look at what the ticket's for, but that's another conversation. But you can't, a parking ticket doesn't cover that. You can't give people a parking ticket for having a headlight out. That damage, we may have an accident report on that, but that's, I would think, fairly decent, but
So what can you do with it? So, okay, we know what we can't do, so what can we do? Other legislation is the key?
we could look at the time. There may be something in the village code about the amount of time they can park there. We could put tickets on them every night.
Is the problem that the guy has a dent in his car?
Well, it's just the front end damage of the vehicle, you can see it's tore up.
Right.
No, the problem is the car's not moving.
The car's not moving, and I feel
Right, so
cars
I get that.
cars
So
like
why
this
are
are
we talking
monuments, they just stay
Right.
there until
So how is that
we do
not
something.
We
fixed?
can take care of that car and get it out of there.
That's what I'm saying, like, who cares that it's got damage?
If that's all
Why
we
don't
do
we
with that
just
car,
get
we'll
it
get
out of there?
I'm sure our tow operators.
I'm pretty sure.
You know what I mean, like.
Yeah, I understand. I think this car, a year or two ago, was in the Mill Street parking lot, closer to the stairs. And I noticed it, I went to a meeting and I parked in the Mill Street parking lot to go to American Legion, and the car had 4 flat tires.
Yeah.
And, I didn't pay no attention to it, but you know what, a week later, it was still in the same spot with 4 flat tires. I call cars like that monuments. They're just gonna stay there until someone does something about it. Then they take care of it.
So, just in terms of the regulations in the village, in that Mill Street lot, there's apparently spaces that were grandfathered in that people have access to.
The first row along the right.
4 spots.
Right,
Because those are private.
but we don't know that. I mean, somewhere that's known in village law somewhere, but we don't know that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which 4 spots?
Nobody knows what 4 spots.
Who are they?
I think it's even more than.
No,
No,
it's
Right.
for all the apartments in
Yeah,
that building. It's the
correct.
whole
I think
first
it's
side.
12 spots, actually.
12 or 15, that's right.
Right, so that would be something important for us
It
to
is.
know if you want us to enforce both spaces.
Well,
Because
that's the whole parking lot.
Well, the property owner, Mr. Reed, did say he's been very generous in allowing it to just be used in an effort to be neighborly.
So he has control over who can park there.
Well, I think he's been in an effort to not do that. He's allowing it to be part of, he's trying to be generous with those spaces, understanding that parking is a concern for the village.
But if that car with the flat tires is parked in one of his spaces, how would we know that, what's his, I don't know what the guidelines are for him. Can he park a car there with flat tires? I don't know. How would we know to ticket it if?
Well, you're
we don't know
not, you
the
really
space?
shouldn't be enforcing on somebody's privately owned spaces regardless of his use.
That's his point.
Right, so yeah, if we're telling you it's all those spaces, we technically can't enforce it.
Yeah, I was told 4, not 12.
Now, the only thing that I would say,
Pretty sure it's 12. Because it's all the apartments. 4 wouldn't be enough.
the only thing I would say about the Franny Reese parking situation is you'd have to see if there is somewhere in the grant, the 2 grants that we got at least for that, if there is a condition on the parking.
I don't think there is a condition on the parking. I do think, we made, the village board made the law that everybody has to sign in before hour parking. The village spent over $1 million on a parking lot, not to make it look like a junkyard.
I understand.
That's what I'm coming with. I don't want to open my mouth on another part of it, but it looks like a junkyard, I'm just gonna say. When you have cars like that just sitting there and not moving and
Well,
look like they're parting it out.
there could be some parameters in the grant that say relative to parking, what you can do and what you can't do. That's all I'm saying. And the same thing, if the board wants to charge fees in the parking lot for, say, perhaps having the space to guarantee a space in the winter time, there may be parameters in there if you can or cannot charge them because you use some grant money to fund this project. Same as the boathouse, a reasonable cost, whatever a reasonable cost is, when we charge,
I'm not gonna disagree on that part.
when we go to charge fees at the boathouse.
I think that's great that you want it, we should charge fees for using our parking lots. They'll offset some cost of the maintenance.
I would.
And the patrolling of it.
I would encourage the board to take a look at it, to see what we charge them. It's unfair for all the other people who have to scrounge around for a parking space in the wintertime.
Well, it's unfair for the taxpayer who has a driveway and it doesn't get to use that parking lot, and we're paying for them to park there for free and maintaining it.
Right. I'm with you 100% on that.
And I'll say it's a $50 pass for the year or $25 a month, whatever the case may be.
They're getting $60 a month at VFW.
There you go. You do something like that,
One of those.
it'll offset the cost of not by much, but you know what? It helps pay for some stuff. Having an officer go patrol it, having the highway department go in there sweeping it, mowing.
The
Weed
problem
whacking.
is if you charge and you have people that are gonna get a permit, you gotta number them.
Right.
We should do that. And if you look in the city of Poughkeepsie, they shut their parking lots down in a snow event. They shut it down. You have to get your car out of here at a certain point in time or it's being towed. This way we can maintain our parking lots. Our highway guys have a hard time plowing these parking lots with cars in there. They just go in there and clean them off and they stay. And they can't clean the parking lot thoroughly because cars won't move.
But can I just say one thing? We'll get that car out of there. I'll give you a progress report. We'll get the car out of there. But I don't understand, we don't have numbers on our permits, how we tie that permit to any license.
We have numbers on the permits, I meant numbers on the spaces.
Oh, okay.
If you're gonna charge me $25 a month for a spot, I wanna be guaranteed I got a spot.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all. I'm the guy that issues the permits. I get all the complaints. Oh geez, I can't park there. There's cars that don't have
But
permits.
for the winter time, you have permitted parking.
But I only go by curfew. That's all I go by. December 1st to April 1st. That's the permit that I issue. All right,
So,
thank you.
not like
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
Now, the next discussion is on a seasonal employee,
Yes.
and I was unable to get a civil service ruling on that yet. I hope to have it today, but I didn't get it. Can you hold off on this?
Well, no, I was just a discussion point of when we wanted to start the seasonal employee. If
Well, I
we
think
got-
it's contingent on how many months we can have them,
Right.
right? That was what our confusion was. We didn't know if we wanted to shave a month in the front,
Well, the highway,
you know, depending, right? We
Yeah,
didn't
I
know if
do.
it could be 8 months or 6 months.
the highway department used to have seasonal employees. Ray Berry was one of them. Where they got them in April and they worked till November.
Right.
Pete had Raymond Berry and. I
For
think-
7 months of that.
Yeah, I think Tyler Winheim was a seasonal guy.
I don't want to say it's 6 months without knowing for sure, and I was unable to get that. They reorganized up there, and I didn't get it.
All right, well, I think it's something we should, if we can do it, we should do it. Because when I'll start with the parks, when Timmy Berry worked for the parks, he took care of all the garbage, picked all the garbage up around our parks. And yesterday I spent 2.5 hours down at Betts picking up garbage throughout the park with garbage bags. It was all over the place. Went down this morning, bring the cans back in, had to pick up more garbage. I don't know where the garbage comes
That's why I
from.
don't know why we don't have carry in, carry out like everybody else has.
I don't think that would work. Because the basketball
Okay,
players
so-
go down there.
So
It's
it's
on
a
the ground,
fair,
not
it's a
dirty.
fair assessment.
So you say from April to November,
If
keep
it's,
that person
if
on,
it's allowable.
if it's allowable.
Okay, so,
When I find out, I'll email everyone what the rules are on seasonal employees. Now, push like hell to get that tomorrow again.
okay. Okay.
Um,
Then the next one was the same thing with me. When would you think we want to do the WeDo?
Well, I would say
First week in May?
around there, we'd have, because I know that Larry Sprays is gonna be coming in for that pilot program with the silt sucker. So whenever he comes, it'd be like the end of April-ish. Because once it starts getting warm in May, those
Yeah,
things
I
take
know.
off.
Yeah.
So you can't have them tied up sucking silt for a week
So,
and stuff's growing.
First week in May, or maybe we should try to get something.
Like the last week in April.
Let's go with late April.
Yeah, late
That's
April.
perfect. Because we gotta get it in there and get him acclimated
Yeah.
again, and so. That's what happened to start last year, because the hiring.
The hiring, yeah.
And
I'll try to keep it.
you still want to use Bob?
If we could,
Okay,
we don't have to go through that process again, we can just
that's fine, that's
bring
fine.
them back through, and it'd be the same thing with Timmy Berry. We don't have to go through that
Right.
process again. They worked for us once before, I don't think we have to, tell you the truth.
Okay.
all right. Approval to promote police officer Hippel to part-time sergeant, trustee Nesnick.
This is to replace the sergeant that left in June of 2021. So we've gone over this a little bit in the past, unless anybody has any questions. I make a motion to fill that position with police officer Hippel.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No,
Roll call. Should we roll call it?
Roll call vote. Trustee Sidoti.
Aye.
Trustee Ponte.
Aye.
Trustee Nesnick.
Aye.
Trustee Huber.
Nay.
Trustee Ruffin.
Nay.
Trustee Lauricella.
Aye.
the mayor chooses to vote nay.
Carried. You have 4 ayes. 3 nays. Carried. Okay. We have received correspondence from William T. Garner Engine Company that they voted in a new firefighter as a member of their department. That's for your awareness. I'll give you an update on the boathouse. The only thing we're doing now is I ordered what they call a Knox box, K-N-O-X. That's a special box that you buy and you put the key in it. And the only people that can access that Knox box are the fire department. We have one on this building. I believe there's one on another building. I don't remember which one. But I ordered it, and when it comes in, I have the keys all set to put in there, and we'll coordinate with the fire department so they know the Knox box is there. The only other little thing that remains to be done down there now is the new lamp post came in for the banner arms, but the banner arms didn't come with it.
I don't know where the lamp posts
So
are.
Nancy is expediting the banner arms, so once they're in, that'll take care of that. Now, that's that. The next thing is the Cobbler building. All I'm waiting for there is for the contractor to get with Brian, so Brian can go inspect it to make sure it conforms to the code. Once that's done, the Cobbler building is done, then you can proceed to create a lease.
With whoever.
Now, the question I want to ask you all is, Corey,
Thank you, Commissioner.
good night.
Good night, Charlie.
Corey was coordinating all of this, and when he left, I was asked to coordinate it to completion. Do you still want me to be involved in this, or do you have someone else in mind that you want looking over the Cobbler building and the boathouse?
Would you prefer to be relieved of that?
I can continue to do it in that I know all the contractors. I've done it all. I mean, if you want, if the board doesn't have anyone else and you want me, based on my historical memory, to continue on with it,
You want a liaison with you?
yeah, I mean,
All right.
when you do your reorganization in a few weeks,
We'll make a liaison of the buildings with
we
you.
can do that. You can have a liaison for the boathouse and one for the Cobbler building.
I'll throw my hat in the ring on the Cobbler building.
You can be both of them.
Oh, you do both?
Yeah, do both.
Alright, so you're gonna be it too?
I'll be with you.
But when you sit down and do your reorg, fine. But, I mean, if you want me to, if I can help in any way, I'm.
You can help in a lot of ways. If you wanna stay helping, yes, we would like to. But if you're trying to be like, hey guys, you got anybody else?
Well, the reason I'm asking this is because bills come in, and I don't know who to give them to, because Corey's not there.
Yeah.
So I've been doing them.
I don't like those.
Just something to
I
think
don't
about.
want the I only wanna do the fun stuff.
I want to just go back a little bit here. This is awareness,
Yeah.
so we're not voting to accept them as the member?
No, they've already accepted them.
Well, doesn't the village usually accept new members?
No, but you can accept, if you want, the correspondence.
So I'll make a
You want to
motion.
vote to accept the correspondence?
Well, when they give us the correspondence, then,
Well, we have it.
okay, so we're gonna vote to accept the correspondence, which
Right.
will include this person as a member.
Correct.
Yep, I'll make the motion.
Good point, Mayor.
All in favor to accept the correspondence?
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
That concludes that portion of it. Now the committee's updates, police.
So I do have a, copy of multiple things here, so I'm just gonna pass these down, if you can pass them down for everybody. That the commissioner just handed in, and, it tells us about the traffic crashes we had 2 traffic accidents in the village, traffic enforcement observation, there were 69 targeted traffic observation enforcement details last month. They were done on South Avenue, Brookside, West Main, Remsen, Main Street, Mizzier, Nelson, Elm Street, Mizzier, North Mizzier, Clap, Delaverne, and Route 9. During February of last month, there were 390 calls for service, 64 traffic tickets, and 58 parking tickets were issued. During the month of January, there were 13 arrests. And it also goes into the patrol officers conducted 450 checks of village parks, 1,080 targeted neighborhood patrols, 990 targeted business area checks, and 180 targeted government facility checks.
Okay. So on patrol activity, we got 102 tickets for the month. 102 tickets for the month.
64.
I'll let you draw your own conclusions from that.
122.
What conclusion should we draw?
Well, we can't enforce them to write tickets. It's against the law.
What's the conclusion?
Yeah.
People are screaming for enforcement and we don't get enforcement. You have 2 patrol officers a day per shift. 3 shifts. 6 patrols. 30 days on average in a month. That's 180 patrols. And we generated 102 tickets.
122.
I mean, it's
122, I stand corrected.
13 arrests. Took some guns and drugs off the street. Some intoxicated drivers.
That's good.
That probably
I
took
think
some
8
time.
bags of heroin was one of them.
Just making a comment.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I'm just trying to,
I'm sure we're gonna have good months and bad months.
You'll have to consider that when we do the budget.
Well said.
That number would be where?
Well said.
What's that?
Where would that happy number have been for you and Mike?
What do you mean, where would that happen?
Well, you pointed out that 122 tickets was a feeble attempt at ticketing.
I just said draw your own conclusions. And knowing me,
No, but I'm just wondering
you surmised right.
Right, and for Mike just saying, well pointed, so I'm just saying, what would be the
I think the
benchmark?
mayor's point is that we had budgeted fees collected at $136,000.
65.
Oh, and that's where we're at?
No, that's the fines
Oh,
that we,
This is a simple question, Mike. What is the number of tickets you think should be written? That's all I wanted to know.
I can't give you that number because I can't tell.
Well, Mike, what's the number? What's the number? It's a simple question. Because
Basically,
we're snickering now, so I want to know.
I just said it was well said. He made a good point.
we are gonna have a
I
short.
want to know the point. What's the
Two
point?
officers per shift, right? It's very simple. You have 3 shifts, right?
So if it's simple, what's the math? What's the simple math? Give me the answer. I want to know the answer. Because we're snickering, and it's weird. It gets weird.
I'm sorry. That's weird? Okay. I thought you would follow what the mayor
I just want to know what the answer is. Or 120 is not enough. Is it 200?
2 officers per shift. That's, how many officers per day? 6, right?
6.
6. So how many, if you have the total number of tickets, then how many tickets were written per shift or per officer?
What's the number of tickets that would make you happy? That's the question.
I don't know. I mean, I'm
It's a
not
simple
police
question,
officer, but I
Jen.
guess they could write maybe 1 per shift.
But can't we agree that
No.
one month might be different
2
than
per
another
shift?
month?
Okay.
And
so there
another
you go.
month, I mean, they can't write tickets and it's not working.
wrong question?
I understand that.
What we need to agree on is the fact that we
Yeah,
are
listen
going to
to
have a
right tickets.
shortfall in fines. So that
Correct.
just needs to be looked at when we go to
Because
budget
there is a
practice.
whole totality, as you are kind of one of our police experts,
expert.
Well, you've been on the thing for a long time, it's been in your family. I'm not patronizing you, I'm being sincere. There's more than just writing tickets, right?
Absolutely.
How many have they written, so they took guns, they took drugs, as
Correct.
Sadati mentioned. How many have we stayed out of? Have we stayed out of lawsuits? Have we gotten?
What we need, I don't have a number for you, so I'm not saying
No,
that
I'm not-
number is low. What I'm adding to the conversation is, right now, every year, when we do a budget, we put together an amount of money that we feel we are going to collect for those fees.
Revenue from-
We are not going to be close to that.
Oh, I know that. I've been involved in
We're
those.
not-
I know that.
We're not gonna be,
Exactly.
let me just finish. So if what currently is being written as tickets isn't the answer to get us to that number that we had projected, then we need to reconsider
But-
that.
Right, but has anyone looked at what are the fines? What were the fines of the tickets that were processed? How many tickets were thrown out? Wait a minute. When they do generate money, do we have to, are there other costs?
You will never know all those answers. We just need to know that going off of, we've had a lot of different budget numbers over the years. Going back 10 years ago, it was or 11 years ago, it was $550,000.
Right.
So it has consistently gone lower.
Well, it's stabilized for a little bit.
Stabilized for a little bit. So we just need to know that whatever we put together last year isn't working.
Right. And all I'm saying is, what part of it's, how many are, it's an important question. What part of it is how many have been written, and what part of it is how much are we allowed to take versus the county? Fines,
I don't think
and
that
how
has
much of it-
changed over the last few years, how much we can take from
And I
county.
agree with you on
It
that.
has not
How
changed.
much of it has been,
So it's just
how
been a-
much have
It's just
the
been less
fines been
tickets being
written?
written.
How much are the fines that are being
And you
levied?
can never predict what type of ticket you're gonna actually write that day,
Exactly.
depending on what you're gonna come across.
Exactly.
So, you know what I mean?
So you look at it as an average.
So you look at it
I
as an
wish
average.
you didn't miss this whole time.
I didn't miss it, I went home and it was on TV, so that's why I came back here.
Oh,
But the bottom line is that when the next budget is done, to trustee Niznik's point, you have to configure in a number.
certainly.
And so when you look at what's going on this year, and you come and you say, and you look at that number, and you're gonna say, oh boy, we can't put that number there. We missed by $60,000, we missed by 50,000, whatever the number is. So do we take the actual number? Do we project the actual number? Or do we come in $45,000 less than what we projected last year? And then you know how we worked to the end last year to get under 2%. I think we came in at 197. And when you take out 45 or 50,000 bucks, that's 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't force them to write tickets.
I'm not, but there's an expectation that there's going to be some tickets, to the extent how much we don't know. And listen, it's very simple. You either project the number that's your best guess that you think it's going to be, or you say, we can't make the 2% cap
Right.
this coming year. And
Just like any projection, you estimate.
Right.
And you sometimes have to say, this year's not gonna be growth. Commissioner, yeah.
Pardon? Okay.
So just a couple of things. The revenue line for tickets was set before, I had no say in that. That was set in the budget. I didn't pick that number. But I'm not gonna have my officers going out there writing tickets to meet some projected budget line. I'm gonna have them writing tickets based on traffic safety and the availability of resources of the department. We're spread very thin right now. We're just about filling shifts. When I can get a couple of extra officers, I'll put somebody on traffic enforcement. I have not had that luxury. We're in an age where people don't wanna work. It's hard to get employees. But as you might notice, people aren't leaving the Wapages Falls Police Department anymore, are they? Do you see people resigning like you had seen? Okay, we're retaining our employees, and I have three applications right now. If I get extra people working, I can put somebody out on traffic, and we'll go to areas where we have crashes, which aren't many. I put it in the report. Very few accidents on local roads, and our accidents are on 90, Route 9, and that's it. And that's where we'll do enforcement. But to put a number, I would suggest you look at the New York Times, recently did an investigative report on villages trying to raise revenue with tickets. And the age of police reform is not the way to go. So stop trying to think of raising money from tickets. The number for money should be traffic safety. What do we need to do to keep the roads safe? And we're doing very good in that area.
But then I'm gonna bring about a point to you, Charlie. So if our police budget is not sustainable, we just don't wanna get into a position where we were at years ago, where we have to consider disbanding the police department, having the sheriffs take over.
bringing that up.
Don't wanna be in that position. It's real, as.
They're not gonna do that for free, and I'll guarantee you, the sheriff will write less tickets than you're seeing right now. I can guarantee you that.
It depends upon the numbers.
But-
I mean, we're already a
but it's-
financially distressed
So
bunch.
if you wanna have a police department, you're gonna have to fund it. But you can't fund it by going after citizens with fines just because you wanna raise money.
Then there's a different way we're gonna have to do the budget.
Then that's just it.
And we can increase the traffic enforcement, but the way we're really gonna increase it is to get a couple more employees, which I hope to do. Then I'll put guys on 8 hours a day just doing traffic, those officers who write the tickets. What you're gonna see, if I was to tell everybody in the department, write me 2 tickets a month, they'll do it. You're gonna write 2 headlights out.
2 tickets a month or 2 tickets a day?
2 tickets a month, whatever you want, but whatever it's gonna be headlights out, taillights out, uninspected maybe, and then
What kind of revenue does that generate?
zero. It's all just time, because what's gonna happen, they get the headlight fixed, they go to court, and it gets dismissed. 300 of those tickets in 2021, 112 in the first 4 months of the year, 100 in the second part. Because we don't write those types of tickets anymore. We're cutting back on that, which many places are. They're telling officers not even to pull people over for
Can I
that.
ask you something?
with police reform.
Is there a way to quantify from how much financial resources it costs to do those tickets in that paper and get the person here? Roughly.
Well, I guess you could look at court time, but I would say that the bigger issue with it is bad contacts with the public. Possibility of a bad situation happening because of that. Somebody's
And it's
like,
also
somebody
money
else
and
did.
time and money that then doesn't see any return. There's no
Yes.
ROI because it gets thrown
But
out.
it gets a checkpoint of the ticket. So,
Right.
you see 300 extra tickets last year. Deduct 300 from that, they were dismissed.
Is there anything else financially that you're doing other than writing the ticket that is saving, that is maybe not bringing in money, but it's not pushing out money? Does my question make sense?
Yeah, I would say, well, it would be kind of like a wise answer, but yeah, I would say low salaries are doing that, and you have 14 years to top pay for police officers is doing that. So there are things that are being done.
Well, I mean, good things that you're doing.
Oh,
I'm trying to give you a softball. Maybe there's no answer.
but that's, yeah, there is. I don't know that I'm doing anything that's gonna save money.
I mean, because like in my opinion, when you say people haven't left, that means we are not training. And that saves a lot of money, right? When somebody who's been working here for 5 years leaves, and then you gotta train somebody, that's costing
But
money.
yeah, so in that respect, yeah, there are things.
Lawsuits, how many lawsuits have we had?
We haven't had any since I've been here.
How many did we have with the other, with your predecessors? Did we have a lot of lawsuits? Does anyone know? Jen, can you speak to that? Is it success, is it considered a
Legally, I
success that he
probably
hasn't
can't,
had
but yeah, we
lawsuits?
had a lot of
Does anyone
lawsuits.
think that's good?
Quite a few.
Well, I think it's excellent.
Does anyone think that's good?
Yeah, it's good. Good that we don't have any.
I mean, we're just a year in, you know? If we could, I'm here for a year. If I could be judged by all the things I didn't do in this year, that would suck. That would suck if just for 1 year, everyone said, well, look at all the things you didn't do. And that's what I feel like we're doing here, and it just doesn't make sense.
All right, well, I'm just looking at the budget lines, and that doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't know what to say. What else?
The only thing I will say, I did live through the period of time when it was all about writing a ticket, and it wasn't a good time. It wasn't a good time for anybody that drove through the village of Wapenders Falls. So I do not, under any circumstances, want to see that period happen again. I know we do however have, you know, expectations of what the day needs to be filled with, and if we're gonna rely on our police commissioner to tell us we need a traffic detail, then we need to look into a traffic detail. But, last thing I wanna see, though, I think it's more important that we take a look at, we have our budget time coming up, and we just need to take a good look at that.
With that said, is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, hold on.
We got a couple of things to talk about here still.
Okay, next, finance, trustee Laura
I have nothing.
Highway, trustee Sedati, 2012 dump truck.
I have something that you guys aren't gonna like. So, the Highway Department has a 2012 F-550 dump truck with 50,000 miles on it. We've been having some issues with it. It was brought into the shop, and they found out that it was a fuel delivery system problem. This cost was gonna be around $11,000 to repair. When it goes in for the repair, they find out that it's not just that, it's the rocker arms, so on and so forth, mechanical problems, and that cost to repair that would be $12,000 to $16,000, and that's where we stand right now.
Is that into addition to the original
No, so
11,000
the number is, it's gonna be closer to the $16,000 mark,
total?
total, just what we have to get it out of the shop where we have it now, to repairable where the mechanic is not confident that this repair could not just break in 2 weeks, or a month, or a year. So the mechanic's recommendation, because you would be doing one side of the engine and not the other side. So the recommendation is to do the fuel system work that already has to be done and swap out the engine, right? So this engine swap, all of the combined cost would be $26,000. So with that said, there is a way to finance this, which we have already set. So in the bond that we set out for the highway department, after Superintendent Paggi speaking to our former treasurer prior, that we still have in the highway line not being used $23,000 that's already been bonded. And Pete would be taking the additional $3,000 out of his budget. This is the recommendation from multiple mechanics, our highway superintendent, and it's also my recommendation that this is what we do. Any questions?
Yes. So the 2012 dump truck,
Yes.
is that used a lot?
Yes.
It's one of our main tools for plowing and how we get material to the smaller sidewalk jobs. It's a versatile tool that we really can't.
So what's it cost new?
So this truck to replace is I mean, in this time, I know it's well over $100,000. And this engine swap also comes with a 2-year warranty. But now you're talking about it being completely rebuilt.
Somewhat of a new
You know,
truck.
other than the cab and chassis, you know, we're talking about mechanical stuff, you know, you understand where I'm going with it. So, it's no matter what to get it out, even if you wanted to get it out of the shop and try to sell it, to try to use it, you're into it for $16K, no matter what.
So
Unless you-
that money's already been spent.
Well, some of that money has been spent in the process of taking it apart and doing what they're doing, but to put it back together, to either use it for its short lifespan possibly, or try to get rid of it, you're into it for close to $16,000.
So $10,000 basically extends your shelf life.
It gets you that usable truck back with a new engine and fuel system. So it wasn't a foreseeable thing. There's not a lot of options here. So,
That's your recommendation rather than buy a new one?
well,
Like, how many miles are on that?
50,000.
Sounds like we already spent most of that money anyway, so
Yeah.
I would think a new one would be out of the question at that point.
I mean, that's part of, I mean, it's a paid-for vehicle, correct?
It's a paid for vehicle.
That's part of, you know, owning a paper
You know, and it
ticket.
has a plow, on it, the frame's on there, and it's all wired for everything, it has its intended uses, and we use it, it's a heavier, one of our heavier trucks to plow the streets with, that's not the giant truck. So you have a pickup truck you try to plow a road with, or an F-550 diesel dump truck, that's the tool you need to do. So,
This is out of my wheelhouse, but why did they have any idea why the engine went bad? So,
it has to do with the fuel system, with the problem with the fuel system. The fuel delivery to the engine caused the problem. They can't trace it back, but by engine swap and fuel system replacement, it's a complete overhaul.
It has the depth, it's an emissions, it's called depth, DEF. So it's all that stuff.
And like I said, we're going off the recommendations of, a 25-year veteran mechanic at Ford dealership, plus our personal mechanic, plus the mechanics that we bring our diesel engines to,
so you got more than 3 quotes, right?
Oh, well, it's
Yeah.
not about, it's about, we're already into it at this shop for X amount of dollars. You can't bring it out of that shop now and put it back together and bring it to another shop, because then you'll be out probably another 11K.
Gotcha.
Does that get us out of that procurement by it, something that came about as we were going, Mayor?
Well, I guess you could take it, do the $16,000 fix and then take it out and then bring it back in and do the other 10, but it might not be another 10, you might,
No,
Be
you
another
can't,
30.
you can't do one without.
That motor is $26,000, period.
But to get it out without doing that, you're at a $16,000 number, and it's not like we just pull it out of there and say we're not doing anything. We're already into it for a portion of that 16,000 already. It's in pieces. So, it's a decision we have to make. And to double check that it's feasible to use what's left in this bond, which doesn't put us, and the remainder is gonna be coming out of the highway budget, which is $3,000. And everything else that he was bonded for is either we've taken possession or is in schedule of being built and delivered on budget. So,
I'll make a motion, we purchase the motor.
I'll second it.
are we gonna, hold on, sorry to interrupt. Should we double check on this? We know we could use this bond for sure. I mean, this was,
Oh, I thought you did.
well, we were told by our previous treasurer. Is there any way that
well, if
possibly?
you have left over from that money,
Yeah.
I
Yes.
guess you could.
Okay, so we have that money.
And it's it.
Yes,
And
yes,
it's-
it's 23, yes, we had it, okay, so we're good
23,000.
to go. Back to the motion on the floor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mayor votes aye.
Carried.
That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you.
Fire and Lake,
Fire department had 14 calls for the month of February, and, the ice is coming off the lake. Starting to be spring. Doesn't look it like tonight, but
Spring ahead
it's
this
a
week.
start.
what was that total number, 27?
For
The number,
26.
26,
Okay.
yeah, 26,000. We're gonna be taking out of the bond, 23,000 and change
Okay.
left. okay?
Sorry. Just want to get the minutes right. Okay. Safety. Weather's gonna change, and I'll get with our electrician, see if he can take that pole down that's leaning toward the building on West Main Street.
There's another one, well, if you talk about poles, down at the boathouse, maybe you can call Cablevision, tell them their pole's falling down, that's the cable line.
Yes, that's the,
The one that's been leaning for
yes,
months?
it's even leaning more.
Highway superintendent and the foreman found a Cablevision guy, and they brought him down to that pole, and that guy says, that's our line, so,
So they already did it.
they didn't do.
No, they know that it's their.
They know it's theirs, but they haven't sent anybody to go do anything, so maybe you can call?
I'll have
Is
more
it-
clout, is that it?
Yeah, because they're not listening to anybody else.
I will call
Thank you.
him. Let me write that down, pole at Boathouse.
Sorry, it wasn't on the agenda.
Well, that would be me, anyway, right?
Yeah, sorry, it wasn't on the agenda.
I got Boathouse. Okay. Crosswalks they had a meeting, that's resolved, that'll be done. The only reason I'm involved with the 10 Market Street strip that's going down through there is because I'm the stormwater management guy. And I got a call from the surveyor who sent letters out to adjoining properties. He only received 2 back. And he said, what should I do? I said, go and do it anyway. Survey it. Because we can't proceed with the project unless it's surveyed. So the survey will take place next week.
Great.
And you know the project, we're gonna do in-kind work, we're gonna work with the village highway department and all that. So I'll keep you tuned in on that. Recreation, we did. Water is still open. Mayor, did you wanna say anything about water?
Well, we had the regular meeting, we had a special meeting with 5 properties on a water fix that's been ongoing for 4 years, 5 years. And we'll have another meeting on that issue this coming Monday.
The 28th, Mayor.
Excuse me, the 28th, thank you. And we had another proposal from Larry Sprague from ISN relative to the filtration plant. So we're seeing if they can meet the requirements of the higher removal numbers, for lack of a better word, from the magnesium and the iron, just in case those levels creep forward. Right now, they're not creeping forward, they're still in the zone. So that he's going to see if they can do the plant for the higher numbers. They ordered stainless steel piping for the one well 7, and that's about it.
Okay. Personnel, trustee Nesnick.
Well, we have our new treasurer on board now, so welcome. And also, looks like we have quite a few part-time positions coming up shortly, so we'll get that.
Anything on sewer, Mayor?
No, just a regular meeting, talking about future projects. There will be, I keep telling you this, but there's gonna be a boatload of repair work down there, you know, over time,
Down where?
at the sewer plant.
Oh.
That's on the Hudson River, that the 3 municipalities, town of Poughkeepsie and us own the plant, and town of Wappinger is a tenant. Our share will be about $4 million.
One thing I forgot to mention when we did the beginning of the meeting announcements is that next Tuesday, there's gonna be a general election in the village of Wappingers Falls. It'll be held in this room at the courthouse, polls open at 10 o'clock, close at 9.
Okay. Very good.
I make a motion, we adjourn the regular session?
To go to executive session.
Yes.
Seconded by trustee Ponte, all in favor?
All right, everybody